MrBeast enters the world's most dangerous prison, a gangster prison that no one dares to approach, where power dictates survival and fear pervades the walls. In this harsh place, we discover how prisoners live their days, what they eat, and how they survive the deadly consequences inside the dark cells. For the first time, MrBeast has decided to experience this himself, providing aid and money to those living behind bars, in an attempt to spread hope in the darkest place on Earth. But before we begin, let's go back to the beginning of the details, to the moment the gangsters were arrested, to understand how this prison became a symbol of danger and terror. A gang prison is not just a stone place where bodies are held. It's an entire system of unwritten rules, power structures, alliances, betrayals, and survival based on fear, respect, and awe. Within these walls, every man's life is rewritten. Some emerge broken, some become leaders within the department. Now, we'll delve into every angle, from the moment of arrest to their daily sleeping routines, from their food to their treatment by the guards. Arrests of gang members are usually the result of lengthy investigations, intelligence surveillance, and joint operations between police and security agencies. But in many other cases, the moment of arrest is sudden and theatrical. Investigation and observation. The pursuit begins with the collection of call information, sources of funding, witnesses, cameras, and repeated movements. Security teams wait for the right moment to minimize the risk of confrontation. Sudden raids. Intervention teams carry out night or dawn raids. Surprise reduces the defendant's ability to move or dispose of evidence. Local and international cooperation in transnational organized crime. There is cooperation between multiple agencies, including information exchange, international arrest warrants, and financial law enforcement. Arrest during conflict. Sometimes arrests occur during clashes or armed confrontations. Here, the risks are higher, and civilians or officers may be injured. Surrender and defection. Some members surrender themselves or are surrendered by rivals to make deals. Others are arrested as a result of internal betrayal. One member betrays another in exchange for a reduced sentence. This is a dramatic and key moment. Many gang members fall into legal traps because the security system has become more professional. However, in certain environments, risks, evasion methods, and bribes remain common. Upon arrival at prison, formal procedures begin, but they are rich in psychological connotations. Medical and legal examinations. Data is recorded, fingerprints are taken, and a medical examination is performed to check for injuries and illnesses. Detention status is determined, pending trial, life sentence, or temporary. Classification. Regular prisons classify inmates based on their risk, history of violence, and potential threat. Dangerous gang members are sent to high-security sections or isolation cells. Internal investigations. Investigating authorities may continue interrogations inside the prison or transfer the prison to special detention centers. Symbolism. These first moments reveal the power of the state, but they also mark the beginning of the power play within the prison. Will the prisoner join an internal gang? Will he be isolated for protection? Classification is important because it determines who will confront whom, who will protect whom, and how power dynamics will develop later. Inside gang prisons, informal leadership structures exist that govern daily life. Section leaders. The leader is usually someone who had influence before imprisonment or gained it internally. He enforces his rules on the rest and imposes protection taxes or services. Loyalists. Those who defend the leader and carry out his orders. They receive benefits, such as better food and contraband. Independents. Inmates who do not belong to a specific gang and try to maintain neutrality or seek allies. Oppressed or newly vulnerable people, or those who are vulnerable and become victims of extortion or violence. Control here is based on fear, respect, and intimidation. The official prison system may tolerate or be rigid in its approach to this reality, depending on the level of corruption and order. A prisoner's life is not just about sleeping and eating. It is a series of daily routines determined by a combination of formal and informal rules. Waking up and counting. The day begins when the prison announces a counter or cues. Some prisons have a set schedule for showering, working, and going out into the yard. Work or activity. Prisoners may be required to work in prison workshops, carpentry, sewing, simple crafts, or participate in rehabilitation programs. Gang members may control some of these activities for their own benefit. Contact with the outside world. Family visits, specific phone calls are monitored. Some gangs control who visits whom or impose conditions on messages. Food is served at specific times, and the quality of the food often depends on the prison's budget and the corruption present. In many prisons, the official food is poor, opening the door to smuggling and trafficking. Time control. The time between activities is often filled with boredom, tension, or violence. During these times, deals are made, conspiracies are hatched, or confrontations occur. Prison routine creates constant psychological pressure, leading to behavioral changes, sometimes laziness, but also a constant readiness to defend oneself. What do they eat? Prison food and smuggled alternatives. Food is a very sensitive topic and reveals a lot about the power dynamics within the prison. The official diet is often simple: vegetables, rice, bread, and sometimes a little meat broth. Quantity and quality vary. In overcrowded or under-resourced prisons, the food is often poor. Smuggled food. Gang members exploit the smuggling network from visits from staff or from other prisoners to bring in better food, meat, spices, and drinks. These goods are used as internal currency. Food as a commodity of exchange. Prisoners may be asked to pay sums or services in exchange for a better loaf of bread or an extra meal. Leaders distribute food to maintain loyalty. Reliance on outside food. Some prisons allow juices or food from families for visits. Those with a strong network will eat better. Food, then, is not just a necessity but a tool of power and control. Sleeping in prison is very different from sleeping in freedom. Official sleep schedules usually close and the lights come on at a specific time. Inmates are required to remain silent. However, practical implementation depends on the department's regulations. Conditions: overcrowded cells, noise, fear of nighttime attacks, and lack of privacy disrupt sleep. Many learn to sleep in short bursts or sleep in shifts in anticipation of attacks. Night watch. Night guards. Shifts sometimes disrupt sleep due to searches and conflicts. Strategies. Many inmates learn to sleep actively, using pillows, dividing time with their inmates, or sleeping half awake to preserve their hearing and quick reaction times. Guards' behavior toward gang members ranges widely, determined by the legal environment and institutional culture. Harsh treatment. In strict prisons, the law is strictly enforced. Isolation, restrictions, and transfer to high-security sections. Guards are used as a structure to enforce order. Negotiation and deals. In other prisons, behind-the-scenes deals occur. Guards may overlook violations in exchange for bribes or protection. This creates a parallel system in which gang influence increases. Sometimes, guards use gangs to control the prison, granting privileges to leaders in exchange for maintaining internal order and reducing random violence. Formal punishment. Isolation, visit bans, reduced goods, and deprivation of activities are all disciplinary tools used by the administration. The use of force in cases of riot or rebellion may involve special forces, tear gas, or excessive force. These incidents have long-lasting effects on the population. The relationship between guards and gangs, then, is not simple. It is a mixture of hostility, mutual interests, and legal restrictions. How prisoners live within a strict, informal system. There are implicit rules that are quickly learned. Respect structures. Do not argue with the public about the leader's authority. Respect translates to your safety. Paying taxes, food, protection, and even bathrooms may be in exchange for services paid to the internal system. Demonstrating strength or indifference. Some prisoners pretend to be fearless to demonstrate strength. Others pretend to be submissive to avoid being targeted. Collaborating with enemies. A temporary alliance may save your life. Betrayal may kill. Working within networks. Those who help smuggle or distribute goods gain influence. Those who refuse are either excluded or punished. These rules are quickly learned and at a high price. You either adapt or become a target. Violence is part of the landscape, and its forms vary. Direct confrontations between gangs, disputes over turf within the prison, or old disputes that escalate into battle. Internal punishments. Violations of internal regulations can lead to retaliatory attacks. Mass riots. Protests over poor prison conditions that can escalate into a general riot. Guard violence. The release of power or control through violence, sometimes without accountability. Most of these incidents leave lasting psychological and physical scars. Healthcare in prisons is usually very limited. Basic care includes initial checkups and some medications, but specialized care is rare. Chronic illnesses. Many prisoners suffer from chronic illnesses that worsen in prison.